Hi friends, I hope everyone's doing well. In this video, I'll be finishing 5 works in progress. I marked each one with a red tab for easy access. I'll go over supplies, etc. in each collage section, so let's get started. This busy ground was painted using a gift card. I have a tutorial showing how to create similar grounds. I will link that video and any other videos that I mention in the description area. Since this ground is busy, I'm planning on keeping the collage simple. I only brought out papers in shades of blue. Blue will be a good contrast against the pink, orange, and yellow ground. Another way to show contrast is with the design of the collage. The ground has movement. It's very loose. I'm going to contrast it with the hard edge of collage elements. All of the blue papers will be cut with scissors into geometric shapes. My plan is for the composition to have a diagonal orientation, with the collage elements being placed horizontally and vertically. By the way, I'll be using a glue stick off camera as the adhesive for this collage. I want some of the ground to show through. In some of the areas, I'll be collaging around certain sections of the ground that I like. Now that the main collage elements are placed with mid to dark value papers, there needs to be more contrast in the collage, so I'm adding light blue paper. This paper was made by wiping off paint from a brayer while monoprinting. You can get some interesting papers with this technique that can be used in your collage practice. Also, I'm starting to add smaller accent papers. It's good to have a variety of color values and sizes of elements in your collage. Here's the finished collage. On to the next one. This ground was originally created for a different video. Part of the paper tore when I lifted up the washi tape, so I decided to create another one for that video. I'll be covering that area with paint for this collage, but first I'm going to apply this dotted deli paper to the yellow area. I have a tutorial on how to create transparent ephemera as well. I'm applying the deli paper to the collage with a matte medium. I like to put a thin layer of the matte medium down first, then apply another layer on top of the paper, smoothing out the wrinkles from the middle of the paper out. You can also smooth the paper from either end as well. I like to let the matte medium dry before doing anything else to the collage. Now that the matte medium has dried on the deli paper, I'm going to paint the bottom half of the page with Blake's matte acrylic paint in teal green. I will let the paint dry, then finish collaging. I brought out yellow, teal green, and orange papers. I didn't want to introduce too many colors that aren't already in this collage. The orange paper will add a nice contrast to the other colors. By the way, I'm using a glue stick to adhere the papers going forward. As I'm collaging, I'm being mindful of the placement of the yellow and the teal green papers so the collage will look balanced. I want the viewer's eye to move around the collage. Placing the yellow papers on the teal green and gray areas will help to achieve this goal. The teal paper leans more blue than green. The painted area leans greener. The subtle difference in color helps to steer the collage from being too matchy-matchy, for lack of a better word. Now that the yellow and teal papers are glued on different sections of the collage, it's time to introduce the orange paper. A large piece of it will start to define the collage composition. Normally, I wouldn't place two of the same color together, but I'm working with a limited color palette. Also, the large orange paper reads as mid-tone and the smaller paper reads as light. As you may have guessed, this collage will have the cruciform composition. I'm evaluating the collage to see where I need to place what color paper and what size. Again, my goal is to place different colors around the substrate so the collage is balanced and the viewer's eye will move around it. This upper area, which is light to mid-tone in value, needs a dark value, so I'm placing the teal green paper. This lower section has a dark teal ground and the yellow paper, so adding an orange paper will balance this area. This area of orange and yellow papers needs a bit of dark teal. This dark value paper will break up this area that is reading as mid-tone. Also, it will add a small element that is needed in the collage. To my eyes, this collage is finished. I don't want it to be too busy looking, so let's go on to the next collage. As you can see, this ground is very busy. Some time ago, I pulled this art journal by mistake. I thought it was my off-camera art journal that I used to let off stress. I used black Sharpies, paint pens, and oil pastels to draw scribbles to release that stress. It did the job, but now I have to figure out how to collage on top of it. Since the ground is very colorful and busy, I pulled black, bluish black, mid-tone, and light gray papers. I didn't have much of a plan going into this collaging section. I ended up using my go-to composition again, the cruciform. By starting with mid to light value papers, I'm hoping it will tone down some of the busyness of the ground. I don't want to cover up too much of the red and blue scribbles that were made using oil pastels. Both are strong elements in this collage that I want to keep. I didn't like the direction this collage was going at this point. It looked a bit plain. I brought out pink paper to see if it would enhance the design. This pink paper is the same color as the pink scribbles, and both are light in value, so it'd be cohesive. To start, I'm only using one pink element. I didn't want it to get too busy by adding too much pink at this point. Next, the collage needed a dark value. I like the variation of color in this paper. It's bluish black with a fun swirl design. I didn't want the paper to be too large because I thought it'd be too distracting. I'm definitely in playing mode during this collage section because I'm unsure of how to collage on top of such a busy ground. I decided to pull out red paper that will tie in with the red scribble. I'm seeing if a small red accent element would improve this collage, and it did. Also, by placing the red paper on the opposite side of the red scribble helped to balance the collage. Now the collage needs a bit more dark value, so to balance the other two dark values, I want to add just a sliver of the same paper. This paper balances the dark value and adds another size element to the collage. The finishing touches are adding small accents of pink and red. I'm stopping at this point to let the collage marinate. I'm not sure what I think of it at this point. Let's go on to the next collage. This work in progress ground has a beautiful washy look. I brought out collage papers that are mostly light to mid-tone for a change of pace. I usually like to collage with light, medium, and dark value papers. Let's see how it goes. The papers are mostly pink, greens, and a bit of yellow. Since I'm using a limited color palette, I really need to be mindful of balancing the different colors as well as making sure there's a variety of sizes of papers. It's a nice change of pace to have light value papers in the middle of the collage. I usually place dark values in this position. This pink paper is mid-tone, but it does lean towards a dark in value with some splatter of the dark paint. Like the first collage, I'm planning on collaging around some of the ground so it will show through. These two pink papers need a different color to break up this area so it doesn't look like one pink paper. This yellow and dark green grid paper has light and dark value, so it depends on how it's cut if it leans either light or dark in value. This small piece reads dark to me. This collage is mostly mid-tone, so it needs some light value paper. This white paper that was stamped with painted bubble wrap is a good light value pattern paper. To balance the collage, I'm adding a few pieces of this paper in different areas as an accent. To finish up this collage, one more thin piece of this yellow and green grid paper. Again, putting this paper in this area balances the collage. Here's the finished collage. Let's go on to the final work in progress. Both of these are tissue papers. One was painted and the other one stamped with black ink. These papers were made in the same tutorial video as the white dotted deli paper used in the second collage. I glued these papers to the substrate with a glue stick instead of matte medium. I wanted to test to see if the glue would be as a strong adhesive as the matte medium when gluing transparent papers. This collage will once again have a limited color palette of red, blue, and black. My plan is to have a simple composition. The collage is leaning light to mid-tone, so I'm bringing in the strong red paper that is dark value. The composition will be simple, so I'm using a large piece of it. The red paper will make a strong statement in this collage. Another dark value paper is needed, but in a smaller size. Variety of paper sizes is a good way to add interesting detail to a collage. I really love this red and blue painted paper, so I'm adding it to an area on top of the blue striped tissue paper. It will help the overall look of the collage by breaking up a very light leaning area. The current papers are either square or rectangle, so adding a long, narrow paper will add a good detail to the collage. The lower left area has two black pieces of paper. It needs to be broken up with another color, such as this red paper. Besides adding a red accent, the size of the paper is a good shape, same as the long and narrow red and blue paper. Now the large red plaid paper needs a bit of an accent color. The bluish black paper doesn't need to be as wide or long. Half the size is enough of an accent because it's dark in value. Here is the final collage. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Let's have some final thoughts in the next section. Let's do a quick recap of the final collages. Overall, I'm happy with the way this collage turned out. I love the contrast between the ground that is colorful and has movement and the collage papers that are structured and monochromatic. This collage has good design elements such as the white dotted deli paper on the yellow area and the limited color palette of yellow, gray, teal with a pop of orange. I'm happy with the way this collage turned out. Now on to this one. I do admit it was a challenge for me to work on this busy ground. Instead of using mostly light value papers, maybe it would have been better if I used mostly dark value papers or only solid colored papers. Not sure. Even though it's not my favorite collage of this group, I'm glad I was able to experiment with this ground. I wanted to keep this collage in this video to show that not all the collages I create are successful. I may try to make a collage with a similar ground in the future. This collage was successful. It has a good composition. There's a balance between the ground and the collage elements. I'm glad I only used light to mid-tone colors for a change. The yellow and green grid paper had enough dark value in it, so there's contrast. I'm happy with this one. I'm happy with this collage as well. There's a good contrast of light, mid, and dark values. The composition is balanced. Also, I'm confident that the glued tissue paper will stay adhered to the substrate. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch it. Take care.